So, can I ask you why you're here with the Gilets jaunes?
I actually came here to protest against our unfair tax system and against, generally speaking, the corruption of the country, and also because it's a moment to get together with a lot of people who are angry at the same moment for similar reasons, and this is a good way to reunite against what's wrong with this country today.
And can you tell me what exactly is wrong with the country? What's going on with these taxes? What's the big deal?
Well, it's going to be a long list. Well, this tax is one drop, or as you would say in English, it's the straw which breaks the camel's back. Yeah. This is really the last reform of a long-lasting record, because France is actually the EU country with the highest tax rates, and many people cannot live with it. Some people can get along with it, but still harshly. And the problem is they don't tax people who have a high revenue, and they don't tax people who also who pollute a lot.
How do you feel Macron is responding to these protests?
Badly, mostly. He's quite well. He's actually very arrogant, staying in his position. On the other hand, you cannot really blame him for not abandoning all he wanted to do, which was basically taxing the poor, taxing the middle class, and letting the highest revenue still evade taxes.
So he said this all in his presidential campaign. He said this was what he was going to do, and people still voted for him. Do you think those people are going to start turning their backs on him now?
Some people actually did, yes. For example, the elderly, people who retired. Many of them actually voted for him, and now they are turning their back to him because they cannot live with it anymore. They also have lower revenues now because they wanted to lower the revenues for the retired people, and on the other hand, they still tax some more the people.
So how do you think the vote's going to swing in the May European Union elections?
I would say the Front National is going up. Maybe some other parties on the right wing, and more specifically parties outside the system. I still don't know if there are new parties forming right now. If some people have new ideas, maybe they're going to emerge like the Five Stars movement in Italy. We don't know yet. But surely many people will turn their back to Macron because there was a big movement behind him, thanks to big media coverage, thanks to quite a high level of propaganda during the election, and it was still in favor of him for the parliament election. But right now it's really going down. He's the most unpopular president ever in the Fifth Republic, and so it's going against him, I think.
One thing I think a lot of people are wondering is, what's with the yellow jackets?
This is mandatory to have a yellow jacket in your car. This is a security jacket, and so this is mandatory. And the movement was based on the tax system on the diesel, especially for the drivers. So it was at first a drivers' protest, and also a big protest from people who drive from the countryside to the cities and so on. And it spread quite a lot because it's actually quite easy to recognize people on the street. It's a big uniting sign, and it wasn't any more cost for the people because they already had it in their cars.
Makes sense. Can you tell me how the media has been responding to this? Because I've met many people today, really honest, decent people who are just genuinely concerned about their own family's futures. How are the media portraying them?
It depends. Some media portray them as ultra-right, or far right, or ultra mega supernova right, or something like that. But some other media, like the little independent media, tend to want to interview like normal people and portray normal people. But most of the time, the press is actually very afraid of the protesters because many of them got mugged. And still today as well, even Russia Today, which isn't mainstream media or nothing, they are even quite the opposition, the Russian-controlled opposition. So,
and they were mugged today during the protest.
Yes, still.
Who do you think it is that's doing the mugging? Because I've noticed a lot of shops burnt, a lot of cars turned upside down, but I also noticed some graffiti at the side of them. Who do you think's doing it?
According to the graffiti, this is clearly the anarchists doing the burnings, at least the cars and the shops. For the media, it really depends, because I would say even normal people are really fed up with the media. So, I mean, you can see and hear right-wing slogans, left-wing slogans during the demos, also apolitical slogans like Macron démission, which really is apolitical because everyone is shouting it with the same voice, with the same tone together. But otherwise, there are clear signs that you see the anarchists doing lots of looting. There are also people from the suburbs profiting from the looting, especially when it's dark.
Actually, I saw today the thief markets, the theft markets, where they just sell stolen goods. Is that where they're going?
Maybe, yeah. If the guys don't have the need for that, then they are just gonna sell it to the thieves market, yeah.
Okay, so do you think Macron's going to listen? Do you think any of this chaos, anything that's happening on the streets, do you think he's ever going to stop and think, maybe I should change what I'm doing?
I doubt it somehow, but I would say the protest got really angry today. It got quite mad, quite violent, and so they have to react in some way or another. For now, the reactions were really bad from the interior minister, and he really showed in a very good way, in a quite perfect way, which is really close to the perfect art, the perfect painting of how incompetent he is. So it's actually, when you listen to him talking on television, he has no idea what he's talking about. He's just bullshitting something, and I mean, he got a place without having any qualifications, and he's showing it every day, every time he opens his mouth. So,
what will it take for you to stop protesting and for everyone else to stop protesting? What do you want to happen?
I would say quite a lot, but the taxation system is quite a thing which got the people on the street firsthand. The corruption is what made the people stay as well, because of the frauds about the carbon tax, about the environment law, generally speaking. And so I would say many people want the hypocrisy to end about environment and taxing. So basically taxing a right way, and also stopping the funding of big corporations, because big corporations are tax funded in France. Many big corporations get money from the state, subsidies, and they don't need it. It was said that we are giving them money so that they employ people. There was no guarantee they would do it, and they didn't do it. So basically, this corruption system to stop, and also many other things, like for example uncontrolled mass immigration, which is also funded by the tax system. Many things about, for example, modern art being funded by the local institutions, which is also a big waste of money, and generally speaking, the waste of money to highly paid politicians, which at the same time gets dirty money from outside of the politics. So it's actually quite a lot.
A lot needs to happen. Well, let's hope Macron listens. Cheers. If you'd like to help us cover the modest expenses for this fact-finding mission to France, please go to rebelfrance.com and you'll find all our reports there as well.